Hello everyone, we're Group 9, and today we're going to talk about the lessons from the Finnish education system. Here are our contents. First, we'll start with some moral questions. What would you want to change to improve the education system of Taiwan? How do you define quality education? What is the best way of education? Or is there such thing as the best education system? The topic we're going to talk about today is related to the 7th Sustainable Development Goal of the UN, which is quality education. In the UN, quality education is defined as the ability for children to learn basic reading and arithmetic skills. We'll start by introducing the background of Finnish education system. Finnish education system actually went through a huge historical improvement in the 1970s. Before the 1970s, Finnish students' achievement were actually rated below the global average. However, the school reform in the 1970s actually changed everything. The most significant change was the formation of comprehensive basic education system. Well, you might wonder what are the similarities and differences between Finland's and Taiwan's education system. Well, the most similar part is that Finland has a comprehensive basic education system, just like Taiwan's. In Finland, 95% of the schools are public schools, while only a few of them are private schools. Well, the comprehensive basic education system is divided into two parts: primary school and lower secondary school. Primary school are for grades 1 to 6 and class teachers instruct all subjects, while lower secondary school are for grades 7 to 9 and the teaching is organized by subject teachers. After these two schools, the students can choose in two paths. They can either go to vocational school or go to university. That actually looks a lot like Taiwan's education system. However, the most significant difference in Finnish education system and Taiwan's is the following four features. First, they emphasize on cooperation, not competition. Next, there's no standard testing. Also, the teaching profession is highly selective. Teaching is considered one of the most competitive professions in Finland, and teachers even have to acquire a master's degree to begin teaching. Also, the Finnish make the basics a priority. They don't emphasize on solving hard problems. Rather, they make sure that all the students learn the basics well. Also, all students receive full school meals, and psychological counseling and individual guidance is provided to every student. From the above report, you might think that, well, Finland's education is actually the best in the world. However, do you know that Finland's performance is on a decline? Well, here are the PISA scores recorded in the past 20 years of Finland. PISA is actually a test that measures a student's reading, mathematics, and science, and is held around the globe. Well, from the graph, you can see that since 2006, Finland's proficiency on PISA has actually started declining. Well, in the reading part, it is estimated that over 14% of Finnish students have excellent reading performances, but the number of low-performing readers are actually on the increase. Also, the gender gap is a huge issue. Finland's gender gap in reading literacy performance have been one of the highest in the participating countries in PISA. How do we solve this problem? Well, some scholars mention that they can probably learn from the East Asian's education system. Students in East Asia work longer hours, and thus they spend more time and will likely have developed more skills and knowledge. Also, Finland's education system lowers the bar according to match a student's talent and skill set. However, the East Asian education system has a universal standard, and they require the students to catch up if they do not meet it. Also, East Asian students prevent competitiveness, and thus students will actually work hard to stay competitive. Also, Finland strives to make learning fun and creative. However, it might have a negative impact. It sacrifices long-term educational gains if the student's success is always measured on a student's instant gratification. Although East Asia education have the above advantages, they have also a drawback. East Asian countries have a low level of life satisfaction, and you can look at the chart below. The vertical axis stands for the level of life satisfaction, and East Asian countries actually rank some of the lowest over the world. East Asian countries are actually emphasizing on test memorization and test taking skills, and it's not always beneficial to students. It's not conducive to thinking, problem solving, or creativity. Finally, we'll look at some context clues we can find in the article. When reading the paragraph before, you might look at the word millennium and think, what does the word mean? Well, guessing from the passage, you can finally guess that millennium probably means something like environment. And indeed, it is. Millennium from the dictionary. It means they are the people, physical, and social conditions and events that provide the environment in which someone acts or lives. Then we try to find the purpose of this article. In this article, the author mentions that East Asian education system may be not so good, and that they may be shortchanging their future through certain games. We think that it's an opinion rather than a fact, and the purpose of the article may be to persuade us. Finally, to our conclusions. Finland conducted the education system's reform focused on basic education and the quality of teachers. Finland can follow East Asian, but there might be a negative impact on the students' future. Finland is faced with a long-term decline in performances and two problems existing in reading literacy, including increase in low-performing readers and a high gender gap. In the last part, we have some reflective questions for you. Do you agree that Finland should change their guidelines to pull ahead of East Asian countries? How to balance life satisfaction and level of knowledge? Here's the end of our report. Thanks for your listening.